On the back of your bulletin, or at least on the page that is there, you'll find the Heidelberg Catechism. Lord's. I'd like to ask you to take that sheet, and would you read with me as I pose the questions and the answers. Question 12. Since then, by the righteous judgment of God, we deserve temporal and eternal punishment, how may we escape this punishment and be received again into favor? God wills that his justice be satisfied. Therefore, we must make full satisfaction to that justice, either by ourselves or by another. Can we ourselves make this satisfaction? Certainly not. On the contrary, we daily increase our guilt. Can any mere creature make satisfaction for us? None. For first, God will not punish any other creature for the sin which man committed. Second, no mere creature can sustain the burden of God's eternal wrath against sin and redeem others from it. What kind of mediator then must we seek? One who is a true and righteous man, yet more powerful than all creatures. That is, one who is also true God. Since by the righteous judgment of God, we deserve temporal and eternal punishment. If I turned you back to Exodus chapter 20. And in chapter 20. You shall not, let's see. I, Yahweh, your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. Righteous, justice, in chapter 23 and verse 7. Keep yourself far from a false matter. Do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I will not justify the wicked. If I went to Romans chapter 8, and in Romans chapter 8, verses 3 and 4, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God did by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh. On account of sin, he condemned sin in the flesh. So Jesus took upon himself another nature. He took a human nature upon himself along with his divine nature, and by that became eligible to be our substitute. And then by his righteous life, completely, absolutely righteous life, one pure enough to be that sacrifice. And because he was God, he was big enough. Because he was righteous, he was correct enough. Because he was one of us, he was eligible. He took upon himself the guilt of our sin. And he paid his own justice for us. He bought us back from the just condemnation of our sin, from his own justice. Can any mere creature do this? In the 103rd Psalm, and we read this, 130th Psalm, we read this. If you, Lord, should mark our iniquities, Lord, who could stand? None. There is forgiveness with you, that you may be feared. Verses 3 and 4 of Psalm 130. If I turned to Hebrews, and particularly to chapter 10, and started at verse 8, sacrifice and offering, burnt offerings and offerings for sin, you did not desire, nor had pleasure in them, which are offered according to the law. Then he said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God. He takes away the first, that he may establish the second. By that will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ, once and for all. So there was no need to offer it more than once. Couldn't be. There was no need to offer sacrifices more than once. That was the sacrifice that was needed. That was the perfect sacrifice. It was a powerful sacrifice, so powerful that it could cover the debt of all of the sins of every human being who had ever lived or ever would live. But God chose to use it in certain circumstances with those whom he had called to himself. So what no mere creature could do, God did on our behalf. So let's just do a little review from 1 Corinthians 15, beginning at verse 21. What kind of mediator then must we seek? Now Christ is risen from the dead and has become the firstfruits of those who have fallen asleep. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam we all die, even so in Christ we shall all be made alive. But each one in his own order. Christ the firstfruits, afterwards those who are Christ's at his coming. Mere creature cannot do. But God, who is more powerful, more valuable than all of his creation, is able to do. And that's what we're here for. That's why we're here. That's why the world continued. That was Christ's mission here. And we come now to the place where we're about to start saying, this is what is being done for us. We've looked at our guilt, and now we're beginning to look in the Catechism at what God's grace was. And the first step of understanding God's grace is that incredible substitution, that he would take upon his own self the punishment that was due to us and expend it. He would pay for it so that we didn't have to. And then because he's just, having paid for it once, doesn't have to be paid a second time. It's already paid for. So God is saying, in effect, that because Christ substituted for us, it would be unjust of God to punish us with eternal condemnation, because Christ already took that and endured it for us.